Right, so hope everyone is doing well. I'm doing fantastic. Just thought I'd hop on and give another update. So where are we now? I am right. So today is the day after egg collection. So my last video, I think I was talking about my trigger. I just triggered, and so yesterday I went in for my egg collection. Now, the night before I was cramping and both of my ovaries were feeling like they were working, and I was like, oh my gosh, please don't let me be ovulating. I really didn't sleep too well the night before because I don't remember feeling that much cramping before. And that's the problem when you've had a cycle before, because you kind of start comparing stuff when this is in fact a totally different cycle for me, a totally different experience IVF wise. And so woke up in the morning. We had our appointment to get there for 9:30. So hubby and I drove down there, and we got there just quite early, to be honest. But I wanted to be early rather than late because this whole egg collection thing is just timed to the second, I feel, and so I wanted to get there on time. And so yeah, we got there. And hubby went up to do his sample, and then I went into admissions to get myself prepped for the collection. So basically all I did was just go in. They took my vitals, my blood pressure, and took me through what the procedure was gonna happen. And then the anaesthetist came along. He was really lovely, came along, asked me some questions, and just let me know what was going to happen with because I was not fully under, it was under sedation. Then after him, the nurse put the cannula in my hand, which is always a wonderful experience. And then the doctor came and she kind of just talked me through what her plan was. She mentioned my left ovary was a little bit difficult to get to, so that was going to be something to be aware of, that she might have to put some pressure on my belly to get access, which I was like, that happened last time, so that's fine. And then she also talked me through the hydrosemplix. I'm not pronouncing that right, but that's basically the fluid that's in my right tube. And she talked about, well, I have two options. I can decide to still go ahead, obviously, with egg collection, but take the embryos to freeze, then do the surgery to remove the tube with the fluid in it, and then do a frozen transfer. Or I can just go ahead as planned and do a fresh transfer. And I was like, well, I probably would have done that back in the day if number one, my eggs were a little bit younger, a little bit more vibrant, and a little bit more, what's the word? Less, because when your eggs are older, they like a little less fuss, and I get it. All this freezing and thawing, and it's just too much. So there was that I had to consider, and then I had to also consider whether or not my embryos would make it to day 5, because they say, they could be wrong. This is all just medical stuff, but I've heard it said that when you are an older mother, your embryos don't tend to do too well outside of the uterus for very long, so you might not get a day 5, but if you transfer day 2 or 3, the embryo will thrive. So I had to consider that as well, and also the fact that I'm just ready. I'm ready to do this now. I've had surgeries, I've had myomectomies, I've had lap surgeries, I've removed scar tissue, and it's like, how much more do I need to do? And with the thought of the embryos not making it to day 5, to even freeze anyway, and making this whole cycle just, I don't know. So I was like, no, let's just go ahead with the fresh transfer. And pray. That's and the thing is, the fluid in my tube hasn't increased or decreased, probably since my last cycle, to be fair. It's still a small amount. My consultant did say before when I had an appointment with a different doctor, that it's likely that the blockage is on the side of the uterus, so it's not actually leaking at all into the cavity. So it's like the risk that there is with removing it, the with the risk of having a let me get my words out. There is minimal risk to a pregnancy, and I don't think that it's going to have any impact at all, really. So we're going ahead with the flesh transfer. So went through. They took me through, gave me the sedation. I love going under. It's just like the best sleep ever. But I wasn't fully under, but and it felt like I was only in there for 5 minutes, and I was in there for about half an hour. And yeah, I had no pain afterwards. A little bit of bleeding. I remember the last time the doctor told me how many eggs she'd collected, and they didn't tell me anything. So I was in my little ward area. I was like, why aren't they telling me? Did they collect nothing? And then nobody told me for about, because they give you some water to encourage you to go to the toilet, because you can't leave until you wee. And then the nurse came with the hot chocolate and a couple of biscuits, so I ate those, all the while not knowing if I had any eggs collected. And then finally the nurse came around, and as she was talking me through what the next steps were, she said, oh, you've had 4 eggs collected. And I was so pleased. 4 eggs, which is 1 more than last year, which is fantastic. And so yeah, I was really, really pleased. And she just talked through your usual, what you need to do when you go home. Make sure somebody's there with you for 24 hours. Don't do anything too strenuous. Blah, blah, blah. Drink plenty of fluids. Eat the right foods. And so, yeah. And then they discharged me. My husband came and collected me, and we went home. And so the embryologist, he actually came in when I was having my procedure done. He was like, we're going to have somebody call you probably tomorrow morning, and then on the morning of the transfer, and we'll let you know tomorrow morning what's happened with the fertilization. You get a fertilization report. And so this morning I had a call. Actually, I had a missed call. I was like, so I had to call back. They called really early. It was like 8 o'clock in the morning. And he was like, yep, everything looks good. I had 4 eggs. 3 were mature, which is fantastic. And out of those 3, 2 have fertilized. So I've got 2 of my little M babies. Just dividing it up in their little dish. I had embryo gen done again, so that means they keep the embryos in a specific culture for that stage of their development, and it worked for me last time, so I thought, why not again? So basically they have a culture for, I think, days 1, 0 through to 3, then a different culture to take them to blastocyst as well. And basically it's designed to mimic what would happen if the embryos were developing in your womb. So yeah, so it's just amazing. I'm just so happy. I've got our 2 little embryos that we're going to transfer on Monday. They're going to call me again on Monday, let me know, just give me a report about how they're dividing. And just to reiterate what time I need to be there, I need to be there in the afternoon. And hubby's allowed to come in this time, so he's going to come with, which is great. And so yeah, I'm just trying to get all the house sorted as much as I can. I'm going back to work from Monday, but it's office based. I'm working from home, so it's not going to be anything too strenuous. But I'm just here again. It's just yeah. I start taking my progesterone tomorrow, and yeah, I'm going to, because I think last year I took it over 6 hours, but which meant that my last progesterone I would take at 6 o'clock. So I take it at 6, 12, and 6. But then I wouldn't take the next progesterone until the following morning at 6 a.m. So there was that huge gap. So I'm going to take it every 8 hours this time. They've doubled up on my dosage. So I'm taking 2 of the capsules. Each one's about 200 units. I'm taking 2 of those 3 times a day, and I'll take them 8 hours apart. So 6, 2, and 10. And yeah, it's messy, but it's necessary. So I've got no problem with a bit of mess down there at all. And yeah, that's it really. Just getting myself sorted. Gonna do a bit of shopping today. Get myself set up for the week, so I have to do less out and abouting, and I can just, you know, chill out as much as I can at home and just relax the first week and try and not symptom watch and try and not compare the same as last year. But you know I will. You know I will. You know, I'm going to look back at my old videos and be like, huh, how did I feel on this day? Did I feel the same way on this day? Is this the same? And that's, I don't want to drive myself insane with that. So I'm just going to I'm going to try to be really watchful over that. Because they even say that you feel different if it's a boy and a girl. The last one could have been a girl, this one's a boy, totally different feeling. And then I've, you know, talked myself into madness when everything's actually fine. So I'm going to try not to be anxious, because the Lord says to be anxious for nothing. And so I'm praying for peace, and I know everything's going to go well. This is it. This is the cycle. This is the time when we grow our babies and we receive them in our arms and in our home and in our family, and we get to grow our family. So yeah, here we go again. I guess I'll probably pop back on after the transfer, probably midweek, just so I can talk about the transfer itself, but also about how I'm feeling a few days after it, and then we'll go from there. So until we meet again, see you later.